Emma's Universe podcast. Emma's Universe podcast. Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. Happy Friday. So, today's episode we're going to be talking about something that touches every single one of us. Change. Yeah, let's talk about change. It's both constant and a mystery. We know it's coming. Seasons shift, relationships evolve, career transitions, body ages, dreams reshape. And yet, every time change arrives, we resist. We worry, we cling to what was. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the dance of change, moving with life's rhythm. Yes, we do. Let's get started. But what if change wasn't an enemy to fight or a storm to survive? What if change was a dance partner, one we're invited to move with, even when we don't know the steps? So in this episode, I want to help you reframe change, to stop seeing it as chaos and start seeing it as rhythm, to learn to move with life instead of against it. This is the dance of change. Yay, what a great episode for Friday, seriously. So why change feels hard? Let's be honest, most of us don't like change. No, we don't, because we're so used to our little routine, to that illusion of a cocoon, that we don't want to change what we know. But why? Because change feels like loss. When something shifts, part of us has to let go of comfort, of certainty, of the familiar, and our brains crave familiarity, predictability, feel safe. So when change knocks on our doors, whether it's a new job, a breakup, a relocation, or even something joyful like becoming a parent, we often freeze. We cling to what we knew, even if it's no longer serving us. But here's the paradox. Resisting change doesn't stop it. It just makes the process more painful. And it is so true if you think about it. Have you ever had any changes where you resisted so hard that it became a royal pain, that it becomes so much and it took over your life? So think of a river. If you stand rigid in the middle of it, bracing against the current, you'll get battered. But if you learn to float, to let the current carry you, you find flow. You conserve strength. You may even discover beauty along the way. Life is a river, and change is its current. And it's very hard to accept changes for people because we want to control our outer conditions. But we have to realize we do not control them, and they don't control you, unless you let them controlling you, actually. You have to learn to go with the flow, and keep your eyes on the prize, keep faith, keep strength, continue to be resilient, keep going. It takes a lot of courage to do that, but you realize that when you go with the flow, and you go with the movement of the changes, that it makes life easier. you don't have to waste that energy to fight it. Because to be honest with you, when change happens, then you like it or not, you will be moving towards those changes. So you have an option, or you learn to float and navigate, or you're going to resist and waste your time and energy, because at the end of the day, even if you don't want the changes to happen, it will happen sooner or later. It depends how painful you want to make it. And I learned it, make it easy. So seeing change as rhythm. Now, let's imagine change not a chaos, but as a rhythm. Every part of life has a rhythm. Breath has a rhythm. Heartbeat has its own rhythm. Day and night, seasons, tides, all rhythm. And change is part of the rhythm. It isn't random. It's woven into the pattern of existence. Sometimes the rhythm is slow, like the patient unfolding of spring. Sometimes it's fast, like a storm that sweeps in and rearranges everything overnight, but always there is movement. Always there is flow. When we see change as rhythm, we stop asking, why is this happening to me? And instead ask, what rhythm am I being invited into now? What step is life teaching me in this dance? When you really embrace this will change actually the life you're living in and how you float and how you go within that rhythm. That is the challenge. Now, the steps of the dance, because it is a dance. So how do we dance with change instead of stumbling through it? Well, step 1, acknowledge the shift. It is happening no matter what. So don't deny it. Don't pretend nothing is different or exists. Say it aloud. Things are changing, and that's okay. Awareness is the first step in every dance. Step 2, release the old step. In dance, you can't cling to the last step. You have to move into the next. The same with life. Letting go isn't betrayal. It makes space for new movement. Step 3, find your balance. That is, I think, the most challenging of it, but the fun of it too. In dance, balance keeps you centered, and when the movement is fast, in change, balance comes from grounding practices, breathing, journaling, meditations, or simply pausing to remind yourself, I am safe. I can move with this. Step 4 for trust the rhythm. Even if you don't know the choreography, trust that life does. You don't have to see the whole pattern, just the next beat, just the next step. And that's what helps people, and I did it as well when I went through the changes, what happened in life, but the biggest one was, again, 2023. But I had to, instead of looking at the whole situation, I went from one step to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, focusing on what I have in front of me, not the overall picture, which was an entire disaster on its own, and I would have not been able to stay focused if I just focus on the next step. So you take things one step at a time. That's how you get things done. I shared the story of the person when I was working on overnight for a decade, and I had my job during the day. And it was very interesting, actually, because I learned a lot on this one as well. But I had somebody with me, and when he was looking at the floor and the chaos and what was needed to be done, instead of focusing on the next step, he started to freak out because of the overall picture, what he was seeing. So I had to taught him to refocus himself on the next task and ignore what was going on around. And by focusing on the next task, he started to do not look at everything else and stay focused What am I going to do next? What am I going to clean up? What am I going to have to refill? Etc., etc. This is how I was doing it, and I taught him this way, which helped him to stay grounded. But he needed a little bit more practice to be reminded every day. But when he walked in, it was amazing that because I was seeing the next step, he was seeing the entire chaos. I'm like, I'm not looking at the entire chaos, I'm looking at this. This is what you need to focus on. The rest doesn't exist. Focus on the next step. Because when you do this, here's the key as well. When you focus on your next step, the overall of what you're seeing will start to shift. And the more you're walking and moving forward into the right direction, your outer condition and everything you see and your perception on things will shift. Does that make sense? Think about that. And that's what I taught him. Now, did he follow it every day about that? Probably not, because he was too overwhelmed and triggered by little changes. But for me, it was just like, yeah, it looks like, yeah, somebody dropped a bomb in here. It looks terrible. But by the end of the night, it was looking like grand opening every single time. So by focusing on those steps and looking at how we transform things, then your perception change. And I would highly recommend to, instead of seeing the overall picture, and I've been there. 2022 was one of the biggest, and I have life lessons I have learned through my life. But this one was like the big kahuna. This one was like, okay, Ma, this is your biggest test in your freaking entire life, and you have gone through hell back and forth, but we are gonna add a 2.0 version. It was blank. I remember in May when I walked away from the relationship I was in, and everything, my world was already crumbling, like it was upside down, literally. And I had to focus what was a priority for me and the pops. And that picture was blank, I can tell you that. But I went with one step at a time, one issue at a time. What do I need to do? How I need to do this? And by focusing on that, actually, I started to deal and shift, and everything started to shift it. And it was very nice to being able to do that, but it was just one step at a time. You cannot be everywhere. You have to start somewhere. I always take that analogy that I have a piece of chocolate. I love chocolate, people, so you're not gonna say, hey, I love my chocolate cake. And you have a piece of chocolate cake or a cake or whatever you like the most. For me, that's my chocolate cake. You have a piece of a chocolate cake on the front of you. The question is how I'm going to eat it. Am I going to eat it with the crust first, or I'm going to eat it with the opposite of the crust? Where I'm going to eat it, how I'm going to eat it. That is the way of doing it. I choose the way I want to eat my chocolate cake. I can shovel it entirely in my face. I could do that, but I'm not. I'm just going to take my fork or spoon, depends if I have a chocolate coulis underneath or I have a fruit coulis underneath, puree. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to take a bite at a time. Life is like a chocolate cake. Challenges are like a chocolate cake, in my view. Makes it easier to, I guess, swallow, but to deal with. It depends how you're going to handle it. So, but you take it at a spoon at a time or a fork at a time. It's taking it a step at a time as well. So now let's talk about moving with change. So we're going to do a little guided reflection on this one. So again, if you are driving or dealing with heavy equipment or anything like that, please don't do that. Only when you have, if you're in a safe space and you do nothing, close your eyes, take a deep breath, slow breath in, and exhale gently. Now, imagine yourself standing in an open room, barefoot, with music beginning to play. The song is unfamiliar. You don't know the dance. At first, you feel awkward, hesitant, but then you stop trying to control. You let your body sway. One step, then another. Slowly you find the rhythm. Whisper to yourself, I don't have to know every step. I only need to trust the rhythm. Take another breath and say, change is not my enemy. Change is my teacher. Change is my dance partner. This is what it is. So, again, when you are listening to that new rhythm, you're going to actually relax your body. You are going to just let it go, let it flow, and you are moving slowly and softly. You're not controlling anything, you're relaxing your muscles. If you ride motorcycle, especially if you are in the backseat, because I love motorcycles, and I learned to do this when I'm a passenger for a motorcycle ride, which I love, actually. I relax my entire body. I don't stiffen the muscles. I'm just going to a Zen mode and I relax. I am behind the rider, putting my hands around the rider's waist, but I'm relaxing and I'm going with the flow. When the motorcycle starts to slowly shift closer to the ground, I will follow the motorcycle because you're riding it. You're not controlling it, you're riding it. And the rider will guide the motorcycle, but the motorcycle will follow the way of the road. This is how you ride as a passenger of the motorcycle. You totally relax because if you're stiff and you don't follow, then the motorcycle is going to go out of control. This is how you can crash a motorcycle. But when you go with the rhythm and you become one with the motorcycle, then you're enjoying the ride. It's quite interesting. Same thing here. When you're listening to a new rhythm in music, you should do the same with life. You relax and you're going to go with the flow, listening to the rhythm and picking it up. And you let your body guiding you. Now, let's talk about the stories of the dance. I want to share a story with you. A woman I coached had built her career in one industry for 20 years. Then almost overnight, her company downsized and she lost her job. At first she panicked. She clung to the old rhythm, job boards, resume, trying to recreate what she had lost. But eventually she paused and she asked herself, what rhythm is life inviting me into now? That question shifted everything. Instead of chasing the past, she leaned into her passion for teaching. Within a year, she wasn't just employed. She was thriving in a role more aligned with her gifts than the one she lost. Her whole rhythm, the old one, had ended, and a new rhythm had begun. This is the dance. It sounds scary, but when you have opportunity to change the way and change the course of your life, especially like if you lost a job, and everybody wants you go on a job board and you're doing it, but it's time also to reflect. What do you want to do next? So let's say if you're an assistant and you want to become a lead or project manager, then instead of continue to apply for assistant, then you tailor your resume for a lead or a project manager. This is how you do it. You're shifting. So you have to look at that in a way that what can I do and opportunities that are laying on the front of us. Now, becoming fluid, this is the more we practice, the more fluid we become. So this is the challenging part of it. Like I was explaining for riding the motorcycle, you have to become fluid. You have to just, be more flexible. Dancers don't resist the music. They surround to it. They move with it, trusting that even missteps can become part of the art. Life is the same. Missteps aren't failure. They are improvisation, and sometimes the best movements come when we stop clinging to perfections and start allowing ourselves to be moved. We have to go with the flow. Fluidity doesn't mean lack of direction. It means adaptability. It means strength wrapped in softness. It means resilience in motions. When we become fluid, we realize change doesn't break us, it reshapes us. This is what it is. So think about event in your life that you have resist and how painful changes happen to you compared to when you went and go with the flow and changes were smoother. I have resisted in the past, but I have made changes and I learned a lot. And 2023 was, as I said, the biggest of the biggest. And it was just like, holy crap. But going with the flow, learning to be flexible, and change the environment from where I was to the transitioning was to where I am right now. So, let me ask you, what change are you facing right now? Big or small? Chosen or unexpected? What reason is inviting you forward? And are you resisting, standing rigid in a river, or are you willing to float, to trust the dance? Remember, you don't have to know all the steps. You don't have to see the whole choreography. All you need is the courage to move with the rhythm of this moment. Life is the music. You are the dancer. And together you create the art of becoming. Learn to move with the flow. That is the key. Thank you for being here today, for moving with me through this conversation. Until next time, may you find balance, may you release what no longer serves, and may you dance with change with courage, grace, and joy. All my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now. Okay. Universe with Kat.